Hey everyone, this is Oscar from Underdog, and today I wanted to share with you a little technique to generate infinite, lush, acoustic, ear-opening percussion sounds that you've heard by artists like Golden Panda and Bonobo. I was always blown away by how these artists incorporate something called ear candy, and that's not a very scientific term and people use it in a lot of different ways, but very often, and in this case, I'll refer to it as secondary percussion that's there to complement the core drum groove, but due to the nature of it being acoustically recorded, it opens up your ears a bit more if you use it in combination with synthetic sound. So you've got yourself your electronic synthetic basis for your composition, and then adding in a couple of acoustic organic sounds can make the overall picture a lot more human and tasty. In researching over the past few weeks, I've discovered this technique. So what you're going to need for this technique is a couple of things. First of all, you're going to need a microphone, but it doesn't have to be a super high quality one. Pretty much any mic will do. But then what we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves some random objects from around the house that have different characteristics. So for example, I'm going to use this glass, this clave right here, which is just a wooden stick really. I'm going to use this Bambi mug, and I'm going to use this little shaker over here. Oh, and I'm going to use these little Albanian cowbells that I bought when I was traveling in Albania a few years ago. Nice. These have been lying around my apartment for about 2 years now, so let's put them to some good use. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to record a take of these where we make them make sound approximately 30 or 40 times, each time with a slightly different intonation, slightly different hitting speed, slightly different position, slightly different combination, hit them in different places. And so that's going to generate one long file of a whole bunch of different expression hits. And then what we're going to do with that audio file is we're going to load it into Ableton's simpler device, which can slice by transient. This was a technique I also used in this video called pseudo-organic drums. If you haven't checked that out, do check it out. But what this allows us to do is to play each of these individual transients separately. So we can go like this. That's nice and satisfying, right? Well, so now here comes the magic. So each time that we hit a MIDI note on our keyboard, we want to trigger a different slice of this. So we can always hit the same note and use this MIDI device, which is called random, which is going to always trigger a different sound here. So that way, every time that I hit the note, I get a different sound. And this might already be enough for you, but hang on just one more moment. If you have Ableton Live 11, there's this MIDI effect, which is called note delay. And that takes a MIDI note and generates out secondary MIDI notes the same way that a delay unit would do for audio, but in this case for MIDI. So one note becomes many notes. So every time that we hit a note now, it generates a whole series of notes, and we can unsynchronize it so it's not going once every 16th note, but instead goes every 30 milliseconds to 50 milliseconds, or maybe 80 milliseconds. So that now when I hit a note here, this is what I get. So you get these really satisfying churns of organic sound. And each time it's slightly different. Now, to take this even to the next level, you don't have to have just one of these sounds. You can combine multiple of them in one hit. So what you can make is something called an instrument rack, where you right click and you do group to instrument rack. And what an instrument rack is it takes MIDI and it feeds the MIDI to each chain inside of the rack. And on each chain, you can have a whole different set of instruments playing and receiving that MIDI data and then outputting their audio, which is then all summed together at the end of this instrument rack. So what we can have are several identical layers, but in the different simpler devices, we load in different sounds. And then all these sounds are going to get combined together like this. And inside of the simpler, per note, what you can also do is you can set the random panning to a certain amount, and that's going to widen it up. And now suddenly you've got yourself a personal orchestra that's playing around you, and you can trigger it in time with your track. And if you know what granular synthesis is, this kind of feels somewhat like granular synthesis, but it feels more controlled and a little bit more predictable and a little bit more suitable for percussion sounds. I really feel like I've stumbled onto some kind of secret weapon here, so I even hesitated to share it publicly because I thought I should just use it for myself. But if there's even a small chance of this helping people make better music, then at the end of the day, I benefit from it as well. So go have fun with this, experiment with this. I'm going to put this exact rack up on my Patreon, so you can experiment with it there if you pledge some support. If you want to learn more music composition like this, but from absolute basics in a structured context, I've created a course which is called The Foundations of Electronic Music. If you're a beginner, do check that out on courses.underdog.brussels. Come say hi to us on our Discord channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like below, subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell icon. And until next time, stay producing, be good to one another, and take care. Bye-bye.